Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rodney, and today we're going to talk about optimism versus realism versus pessimism.
All that stuff. And I'm Keith, and this is the More in Common Daily Chronicle, where we ultimately are chronicling our journal. We set out to put this on video for our daughters when they start their missions in life and whatever it may be. And we figured, hey, let's put it out in the world. Let's learn from each other. Let's get some good nuggets from you and hopefully give them a bunch of information that they can live by.
Yes.
So
let's.
Optimism.
Yeah, we were in a call this morning, and one of our partners mentioned the outlook for this COVID-19 thing, and mentioning the look not being optimistic but being realistic. And I think that oftentimes people see those as at odds with each other, and I personally don't think they are. So I just wanted to talk about like how I think about optimism, how you think about optimism, and maybe any of the nuance in between. I think high level for me, optimism is the belief, the dogged belief that I can get through X situation or X thing. Not necessarily kittens and rainbows, but
yeah. Shout out to Dr. Mike Gervais. Hashtag Mike Gervais.
Hashtag compete to create.
Compete to create. He changed my perspective on optimism in general, and then we had the conversation with Nicole Davis, who works in Compete to Create. We had that podcast episode, and just that mental reframe of what optimism actually is, and how it's just a mindset. It's not a personality trait; it's a mindset. And what more did you want to put in there?
Let's talk about some of the nuance of it. Like, I think I actually used to define myself as a realist, because I was like, well, there are these factors in this, and this could go wrong or this could go right, and so I guess I'm not over. I saw optimism as fluffy, as happy go lucky, unwilling to look at the truth of the numbers or the data or what's happening and say like it's gonna be okay. And it's like, and now I look at it as, because I have always also been optimistic to the point where I'm like, oh, I can figure this out, or I can get through this, or we as a nation or as a world can get through COVID-19 and come out better on the other end. Sure. What does better at the other end look like? Who knows? I don't know what it looks like, but I believe we can and will do that, and I think that's an optimistic take. And it also is, I guess, realistic. But realism, like I don't know that there's any real distinction between the two. So given a choice now, I would call it optimism. What about you?
Yeah, I always found from my own experience that realism is the pessimist's disguise to self-acceptance.
Because you can't say you're pessimistic.
I don't want to be pessimist. Like, I don't want to. So I'm looking at things the way they are, and
no sugarcoating, no.
Yeah. Life sucks. I'm just telling you the way it is, right?
Life is pain,
and life is hard, and life is this, and life is that, and it's like, I'll be honest, I used to be that way. I used to, complain about my bosses and all the things that were negative around me. And then I'd be like, hey, it just is what it is. And what I've come to realize because of Dr. Mike, very explicitly, like, shout out, because he changed the way I looked at it. Like, optimism is, for me, very much a mindset, right? It is very much, to your point, yes, I can look at this realistically and say, right now, this is hard, right? What we're doing, putting content out there, this is hard. Staying at home and doing all of that stuff, it's hard. But I think, like, I'm going to be all right? And if, for whatever reason, we don't end up all right, I'll figure out what's next from there, right? And it's just this constant cycle of, like, it's just a mentality. no matter how bad it gets and sometimes it's hard to be optimistic, be realistic, right? Like sometimes it's just hard to look at the potential positive outcome that could come from any
Oh
result.
yeah.
Sometimes you don't want to, right? Like
It is.
sometimes I
I
don't
think
want to be optimistic.
it is largely a choice.
Yes.
Largely, like I would say, if I use this COVID-19 situation, like being at home, not having daycare, having to figure out work and 2 kids and how to help my wife and figure out the dogs, like it felt insurmountable. Like it felt like this
Yes.
is never going to be okay.
Yes.
It felt like that. That was the emotion that came in along with it. But then when I apply my mind and how I look at things, my overlay is it will be okay eventually. This is extremely uncomfortable right now because I'm being
Right.
challenged with new things, and that's, I think that's the optimist view, is like, all right, this is another step. It's gritty, it's ugly, it's hard, it's shitty, it's whatever it is. On the other end, I will, and for me, it's not even a thought that I will be better. I know that I will be better on the other end of this,
Right.
wherever that is, and whenever that is.
Totally. And I mean, it's the only reason you set out for eventual, like we're doing, right? So that I feel like something positive, things are going to happen, and otherwise, why do it? And I've ultimately, like for me, come to this place when it comes to optimism is I'm you know me, I'm not a fan of binary. Like it is not either or. It is often either or and that and this, right? Like they're all over the place. But when it comes to optimism and pessimism, realism simply is the evidence behind your choice. So if you choose to be pessimistic, you can be pessimistic in realism. If you choose to be optimistic, optimist based on realism. I always use the analogy of driving on the highway, right? Like if you drive on the highway and think everybody's a bad driver because of the 3 people that cut you off today, you're choosing a pessimistic outlook based on evidence. Or you can look at everybody else who wasn't a bad driver and let you just do your thing and say, wow, most people are pretty good drivers. I'm going to be an optimist based on the evidence I see.
Yeah, I would say that another way and to say realism, there is no choice.
Right.
What's real is what's real.
Right.
The choice is your lens over the real. How do you see it? How do you interpret it?
Amen.
So I want to wrap this by asking, how do you view optimism, pessimism, realism? Do you agree? Do you disagree? What are the takes? I know there's tons of other takes. Share them.
Share them with us, please. And the haircut. This is getting messy.
Do you see how long this is?
We're going to get before and afters. I'm
getting straight. I'm going to have a Kill Bill. Like, I'll be down to here. I'm going to wrap up my goat. And it's going to be
good.
Before and afters. It's coming.
And afters.
Get ready.
Let them know.